Hello and welcome to yet another episode of TesterSpeak, and I'm your host Brijesh Deb. Now, today I'm going to talk to a special guest who has been a good friend of mine, and we've again connected on LinkedIn very recently. But what I've been impressed with is his take on functional testing and non-functional testing. He has rich experience of working through the product lifecycle, and I have the pleasure of welcoming Aniruddha Biswas. Aniruddha, I hope I have pronounced your name correctly. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Brijesh. Yes, it sounds good to me. And good morning, and it's a pleasure being part of this. Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, so first things first, let me clarify the pronunciation of your name. I called you Aniruddha Biswas because that's how people in our part of the world, for the audience, we both belong to the same part of the world. We speak the same native language. So that's why I'm getting a little comfortable with him. So in our part of the world, we would call you Aniruddha Biswas, right? Whereas the rest of the world, people will call you Aniruddha Biswas. So what is your preference? How do you like to be called?
I was reading somewhere that in software, there are only two things which are the most difficult things. One is naming, and one is cache invalidation. So I would say that I leave it up to the person who is willing to call my name in any way he or she is comfortable. In Europe, they usually pronounce with my first three letters of my name, Ani, and I'm comfortable with any way you are comfortable. Yeah.
Okay. Because you are in Europe, and I know that there is a challenge here in Europe with Indian names. A lot of people here in the Netherlands also talk about how they have difficulties with Indian names. Then I have to tell them stories where people in India also have challenge in pronouncing some names of other people from India. For example, the names in southern part of India are extremely long, and there is every possibility that you will get it wrong if you don't read through the name. Names are quite interesting. But okay, I will choose to call you Ani as I'm also in Europe. Okay, I will.
Sure.
So when in Rome, do as the Romans do. So yeah, so I will do as the Europeans do. Call you Ani. All right. So you are right now in Sweden, and there is a very interesting story. The world knows about it, about how Sweden dealt with COVID-19. So how has that experience been for you?
I would love to talk about it in a very brief way, maybe. I would say that thanks to God and also thanks to government of Sweden, we never faced any lockdown, and to be honest, me and my wife never felt that there is something going on in the world. I heard a lot of news and saw that in the television, but we never felt that, and I am really grateful that to be honest, in Sweden we felt freedom in true sense, and that was wonderful.
Well, that is a good way to go about it. Now, the reason why I ask you this is because we are talking about countries dealing with one situation. It also shows the culture that is predominant in that country, the freedom that is given to people, and all of this also rubs onto your professional work culture, right? Because I believe you have worked in various parts of the world, so we will talk about it. So I mean, for me, it is quite a bit of surprise to see how Sweden dealt with it. versus how Netherlands dealt with it versus how say for example India is dealing with it right now, or say how New Zealand, the first country to say that they're corona free, how they dealt with it. So it's quite interesting. Brings a totally different aspect. So before we go any further, I'm sure the audience will also be curious to know, and I'm also curious to know about your career journey. How did you get started with testing, and how has it been going so far?
Yes, like it's almost like 11 years now. I am into IT, I would say, not completely in testing. It started in around 2008. And it was, I think everybody knows that it was a heavy recession when I started my career. So
Right.
I did my bachelor's in electrical engineering. So I got a job in a core electrical company in 2008, where I started working. And my job was a site engineer, electrical division. Um, and when I joined after 15 days of training, because it was a session, they wanted results immediately. And the first thing which was handed over to me was a smoke checklist. So before I joined software, I had actually a smoke checklist with me. So that is where I worked for some time, but then I also had an offer from software MNC, and it was a collective decision by the end of the recession that we will go with software. And I wanted, and also I had I mean, I love to travel. So I thought, okay, after end of the day, if a software company is okay with an electrical engineer, then I'm sure they would have planned something about this particular profession and career. So I joined that MNC, and what was, I still remember, what happened was the resource manager, so-called resource manager, came with a box with a lot of names in it. Okay, somebody go to automotive industry, somebody goes to testing. It was a lottery, and I just picked one, and it was written testing services. So yeah, I was open for anything. I knew that for software is new to me. I didn't see coding and testing differently then. And I thought, okay, let's give it a try and see how it works. And I joined that particular project as a tester, software tester, and within 1 or 2 months, I mean, I was still a bit, what you call, when you, as a batsman, if I just draw a parallel to cricket, as a batsman, when you go to bat, first 2-3 overs, you can't see the ball, right? It's like all. So even like it was a team with coders and testers. I mean, for me, it was all bouncer for 2 months. But my first testers moment happened when I had found something in the web page we were testing, and it was a process. We used to drop a mail to everyone, right, from our people in India and our clients in US. And I dropped a mail, and I went home. Next day morning when I came back to work, everyone was, "You did a good job, you did a good job." I said, "What did I do?" And I opened the mail. The client had sent a mail that that was a wonderful way of capturing a user requirement. Yes, you are right. If something, a text is mentioned in the first page of the website, it should carry on down to all the web pages. So I think it was not a big catch for me, but it made a lot of difference to the client. And I would say that was my tester's moment, and I thought I can do something about testing. And then the MNC was good. It had good baseline for testing services. They had exams, they had certifications internally. You were monitored when you take those exams. So it actually helps you to, because I always feel it's good to be a learned tester. Then you learn it, of course, in the job, but it's always good to learn both ways. So yeah, that's how it started.
And you've never looked back ever since the time you stuck to testing.
Yes, I would say I never looked back. After 2 years, there was a moment when there was a development team. They said, okay, we need somebody, because I was doing automation testing or automation scripting that time. So they wanted somebody with that experience, and they asked me to join the development team. And I was into development for like 10 minutes. So I moved from testing to development. And in 10 months, I realized that, I was enjoying more in testing. Like, I was vibrant. I was expressing myself very much. In development, it's again going to be a long journey. So also during that time, I got an opportunity to travel abroad. So I chose, that was a testing opportunity with Cucumber and Selenium. So I chose that. So I again moved to testing. So so it was, yeah, after that, I never looked back.
Well, I hope nobody's listening while I say you made a good choice. I think that was a wise choice to make. Development, nah. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Well, yeah, I have done Java development for about 6 months, and but then I also got an opportunity to start working as a tester. And I've stuck to it because for me it's very simple. Who pays you for criticizing stuff, right? So let's put it that way. Well, no, jokes apart, I think it's fun because you, of course, get to criticize stuff. I mean, that's there. That's part of the job. But at the end of the day, what satisfies you is kind of looked at the product that you're working on and you've tried to improve it. Okay, and that for me is something that is very satisfying. On a lot of occasions, I have spoken to customers, the end users of product that I've tested, and when they say that it is a delightful product, and then when I look back and say, you know what, I tested it, and then say you did a good job. When they say that, to hear that is a great feeling. I mean, people who are using it, and at least on 3 occasions, I have been the user myself. Okay, so I have tested products for a different company which I am using right now. Okay, so
okay.
So yeah,
Nice.
so yeah, so it gives me a lot of satisfaction, and I can say, you know what, this is pretty cool. You know why? Because I tested it. So
Yeah, it makes you feel great. I can relate to. And I just want to add about that short stint on development. And that is the time I actually realized, to be honest, how important testing is during those few months of development. Because I still remember I had fixed a critical bug after coding for, after continuous regression checks, continuously sending my patch to on-site, and they said, okay, it's not working. And finally, when I got it fixed, um, I asked one of the testers from the dedicated testing team to test it. He took 2 days and he told me there's still a problem in that fix. So, and I realized that when I do that with a developer, how does that feel? So basically, being on the both ends, you actually feel the pain both way, and you realize that how important testing is, because it was a 1 month job I had done, and still somebody saying you do this, you take 100 printout of that printer for 100 times and you will find a bug. So that's the importance, or how the impact of testing. That was also good learning.
Yeah, that's a very good point you bring in, Ani, because quite often we do not realize, as testers, we do not realize the value that we are bringing into the whole, and that's most important, because a lot of us, we talk about a lot of things like, okay, as testers we are finding bugs, we are conforming to requirements. At some level they will also talk about, okay, we are the ones who are helping analyze the risks, which is good, but seldom do I see testers actually talking about the value that they bring into the whole system. And this is a perfect example of how, having looked at the development side of the coin, you are able to realize the value that testing is bringing to the whole thing, and I'm sure that is making you a better tester. Now, you said you've had an on-site opportunity at the start of your career where you took that option and you went abroad to work on an assignment which was cucumber the selenium, which means that you went to, I would say, behavior-driven development mode. Okay, so talking a little bit about the technical aspect of it. Now, when you say automation, how do you think, or how important do you think it is important that you work on the basics of testing before you venture into the automation world?
Yeah, it's very important. It's very, very important to have a strong base on testing. As I said before, you learn testing, you can learn testing, some testing on the job, but you also need to be like classroom training. You should have done some kind of classroom training to know all the definitions, to know the basics of testing. It helps you a lot, trust me. Like there are, I can still tell you that there are many people in the industry who cannot define the difference between regression testing and retesting. In fact, I think till 2015 or some around that time, there was, even Google didn't have the definition properly done. I think now it is in some blogs or somewhere you will find the correct definition. Right. So it is very important, and the way I have shaped my career and how I see the agile, DevOps, and coders versus testers, I would say it's very important when you are actually having a discussion with a developer on bug. If you are not clear about your basics, you cannot explain to the stakeholders, okay, what you are doing, what you are testing, which part of software testing you are doing, and how much time you will need. So it's very, very important to have the basics right. You can build on automation, you can learn a lot of tools, you can learn a lot of code. And as I said, whether it's when I was into automation testing completely, dedicated team, I think one point I was the dedicated automation tester in the team. And even then I realized that how much important a functional role of a functional tester is, how much importance that single one person who is testing the performance test with his load runner script he was doing, generating some PDF and stuff like that, how important the role he's playing. So in my in my entire career, I realized every aspect of testing, and I think everyone plays an important role. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a very interesting point that you made, because just rewinding a little back from your story, you were asked to pick something from that box where you chose testing. I mean, you got testing services. So quite often with other testers also, it's more like a lottery system. You get into testing. Sometimes they don't even choose it. They are asked to pick it up, and then they are not able to find their way. And then suddenly the automation wave hits them, and they're like, no, I was happy doing what I was doing. I'd somehow found my comfort zone, working without code, and now this has come. And then they start wondering what they want to do with their career, which is quite a strange situation, first of all, and can be avoided when companies are trying to talk about testing. If a bunch of freshers is hired from a college or something, then if you clearly say, okay, this is what you do in development, this is what you do in testing, and this is how the two are related to each other, give some education to them, and then you think about it and pick in which direction you want to go. Because in my opinion, there is a lot of misconceptions that are floating around in the market. If you go to engineering colleges and ask people about the software industry and ask them which one would you pick, a lot of them would say development. Okay, a lot of them. And, why not testing? Because they think that testing is first of all easy. Okay, testing is something that anybody can do, so you don't have much growth. These are the kind of things that people say, and I've spoken to a lot of youngsters from college, and they have these misconceptions. And I'm like, okay, somebody's got to talk to you about testing properly. So, so you made some very good points. Now, you've also brought in the aspect of load runner, of performance testing. So that brings me to a larger topic of non-functional testing, something that is of course discussed in the industry, but if we look at the larger landscape, the discussion is quite limited, is what I feel. Right? Even if you see conversations that are happening in our community, the test chat community, a lot of it is predominantly functional testing, is what people talk about. So, what are your thoughts on non-functional testing, especially performance, and then security being the big one? So.
Yeah, what I realize is that performance and security, these things are very important, of course, as any other field of work. But it is always about the budget and the goals of the organization, because of which they take a backseat. Like also in some larger organizations, I think the security part is mostly given to a dedicated security team rather than the testing team. So I guess that's why there is less people directly working into it. But as I said, like I have interest in tools, technology, and I also hope that many testers who choose testing, they also have an inclination at least towards tools, technologies. And it's always good to know, okay, like what tools are important, what tools you can use as an open source of performance. I mean, it also depends on the budget and what are the goals of the company, how important this particular product is, how many users are there. Like if the product is not used by, it's not used by many people. Like if it's not a banking application, if it's just a printer, a software-based printer, which is used for a dedicated small town, like how much performance testing you want to do, it all depends on the requirements, I believe. So that's why it's a bit area which is mostly not explored, but I mean, it's always good to have knowledge. You can always do that in your free time, practice, which I keep doing. I keep looking for new tools. That's one aspect of my career, and that keeps me motivated to be part of testing, because I feel there is a lot of places to learn, a lot of places to contribute, and as long as you are inclined to learn new things, you don't stop yourself. You don't assume you know everything. You can go a long way. Yeah.
Well, you made a very interesting observation about the budget and the resources that the companies have in terms of choosing what they want to do, what they don't want to do. However, at the same time, as testers ourselves, okay, I understand that, okay, there may be budgetary restrictions in organizations. However, you said that it is important to have that inclination towards learning new tools and technology. And the way I think that is important is because if you look at the technology landscape and the way things have evolved in the past few years, so to speak, I mean, the changes have been really, really rapid. There have been a lot of changes in the technical landscape. People are talking about, Industrial Revolution 4.0. People are talking about IoT. People are talking about industrial IoT implementations. People are talking about smart homes, smart offices, smart cities. So, as testers, I feel that the opportunity to test has increased manyfold. Okay, there are a lot of other things that can be tested right now, and that's why if you explore new tools, if you explore new technology, then it becomes, it just opens up a new world to you. And okay, you are, if you are testing something new, for example, you're testing a smart fridge. Okay, I saw one working a few years ago, and I was delighted. I said, okay, cool, this is something really nice. How do we test it? How do we test the security aspect of it? Okay, because somebody might break into your smart fridge and thereby break into your house, right? So you may have those special doors where it's all encrypted and blah blah. But if you do not pay attention to the security aspect of your smart fridge, somebody might hack into your house, and that may be more damaging if you don't realize that. So as teachers, we have to probably keep on thinking in that direction. And then there was a wonderful video. I think I put it on LinkedIn as well. One guy, he's got this voice operated things for his door and for the security in his house and all the music. He just talks and starts playing music. If he wants to open the door, he says, okay, open the door, and the door opens, and then he can. So he does not have, he's got everything voice activated. But then what happens is one day he locks the door and he goes to the dentist, and the dentist removes his tooth. And when he comes back, he's not able to speak properly. He's trying to say open the door, but because his tooth is removed, he's like, oh no. Okay, he says something like that, and the system doesn't recognize it. Okay, and the system doesn't recognize it, and this guy is standing outside because he does not have the option to open the door. He does not have a key or and it starts raining. And so this was a wonderful video that was put, which made me realize that okay, it is as a user, sometimes we don't realize what the requirements can be or what can, and as testers, if we are looking at the system more holistically, we can provide ideas, saying, okay, other than having just the voice activation, you could have had maybe a face recognition, I don't know, or maybe fingerprint unlock
Yeah,
to,
absolutely.
or a simple numeric passcode or something, whatever, multiple options to unlock the door. Just having one option throws you out, keeps you out. That is a very interesting video. I had shared it on LinkedIn, and I just remembered
Okay.
it. So I think that's why it's important for testers to keep exploring tools, keep exploring technology, keep knowing more and more. So there are a lot of funny stories when it comes to testing where we've helped customers realize that, oh, this is something really cool, something that is so funny. But a good story to share is we were working on a particular app which was meant for the elderly. Okay, it was kind of an SOS app for the elderly, and the product was really good. It was scaling up really well, and we were in a sprint retrospective, and everybody was there, including the PO and all the stakeholders, and we were discussing what is going well, and there were a lot of points in favor of what is going well. Then a tester made a suggestion. He said, I just have a suggestion. This is an app for the elderly, and which means a lot of people with using this app may have some sort of a visual challenge. So how about changing the color scheme of the app from blue or teal or whatever that was to green, because green suits the eye more than any other color. And and he backed it up with some research papers which showed that green is more effective. Okay, he backed it up, and this suggestion, because it was made to the PO and the stakeholders, they said, okay, let's talk about it. And within 2 days, there was a plan that was released by the stakeholders to change the entire logo of the company and turn it green.
Wow,
and the
that's
product
amazing.
turned green. I mean, so this is the influence that testers can actually bring in if they are
Absolutely. Yeah,
yeah. So
can't agree more.
yeah, and it was wonderful to see that input that just came from a retrospective discussion was first of all very well put out, because it was backed up with research. Okay, and it was very well perceived. Very well received by the stakeholders and the product owners. So that is exactly what we're talking about in terms of testers bringing in and showing their value to the organization. So quite often we get stuck in jobs, and we don't talk about stuff outside the 9 to 5 scope, which is not a wise thing to do. And that's why we have the test chat community. Here it's 24/7. It's not 9 to 5. So that's another thing.
It is truly 24/7. I've seen it.
I also wanted to ask you something. So you worked on multiple domains, right? And right now, if I'm not wrong, you are working on automotive project. So how difficult it is for a tester, or how easy it is for a tester to transition from one domain to another?
Difficult or easy? I mean, I would say it all depends on how you perceive it, and depends from person to person. I don't want to generalize it. For me, how it was, like, as I said, I have an inclination towards technology. I have to learn new things. Wherever there is a new tool, you will find me there. Like, I would have Googled it, or I would have tried to learn something about it. That's how I see it. Same thing about the domain. It all depends on what feels good for you. Like what is the area of work which suits you more, whether it's banking, insurance, medical, automotive, embedded, whichever domain you feel. For example, when it comes to automotive, which came quite later in my career, I found it very fascinating. So I thought of sticking to it, though I worked in banking, mobile apps, and little bit on medical domain. Medical, I really couldn't, connect to it. I mean, whatever happens in a critical condition in a hospital, and you're cutting enzymes in the lab in software. That's something which I couldn't relate to. Maybe somebody else might like it. But I could very much relate to mobile apps. I could relate to automotive, and it's all about how you perceive it, if you like it, and then you approach that particular company or project and seek opportunity. You have to try. You have to try, and you have to keep your eyes and your mind open. Like, okay, if that is what I like, I will, and I would say don't compromise. Like, I hear a lot of people saying my project has this, has a problem, that has a problem. I know it's not easy to change at times when you are comfortable in a particular environment, but keep your mind open. You can get an opportunity change. If you like agile, move to agile project. So that's how I see it.
Well, you made a very interesting point. Now, the reason why I asked you this question is because a lot of times when we are working, say, on a particular project, okay, and say, for example, it is a banking application that we've been working on. We spent quite a lot of time working on it, and then we started looking for new opportunities. And the new opportunities they come up in a different domain. Say, for example, healthcare, okay, or automotive. Now, those job descriptions clearly will have something saying, okay, we need work experience of working in this domain. But then, so how does a tester cope up to that challenge? You know, when somebody says, okay, you need work experience. So if you haven't worked on automotive, you worked on, say, healthcare. So how do you get that to qualify for that interview? First of all, I'm sure a lot of testers would want to hear that side of the story.
Of course, I understand how where this question is coming from, and I totally relate to it. This question is bound to happen. It will come to everyone who wants to switch domain or career or whatever. So, I mean, firstly, be honest. Okay, be honest. Tell the interview that you have worked on these two domains or one domain. This is your niche. This is what you like, or this is what you have worked on. But why? Also tell them why you want to move to this domain, and be honest with that as well. Like, you have no interest in mobile apps, or you don't download mobile apps often, and you don't explore mobile apps in your phone. Just don't go to an interview and tell them that I love mobile apps. That's why. It will be fake. And I've been into the both sides of the interview, whether it's taking interview or appearing for an interview. Don't be fake. It will easily be identified, and I think you will land up nowhere. So be very honest. Tell them that I know this is what my strength is, but why I want to move to that domain, because that's what I relate to. I download mobile apps every day at home, or I drive cars. If you want to move to automotive, you should have a fascination towards cars. I mean, that's how I see it. Of course, I know that perceptions may change, and with people, they might have different opinion. But I feel you should go to a domain when you like it. Like, as I said, I was there for an medical domain for 3 months. I told them the same thing while interview. See, I know insurance, I know banking, but I don't know medical domain. If you are okay with it, I can join you because I want to learn this domain. But in 3 months, I could not relate to the medical domain at all. So I moved out. I don't know how easy or difficult it is for somebody else to move. I cannot comment on that. But it's simple. Be honest and go for what you like.
You made a very good point about being honest. Now, a lot of times, while we try to be honest, one of the problems that I see is being self-aware. Okay, that is the first step.
Yeah.
Are you aware that you really like something, and you really dislike something? That is the first step. Okay, so you have to be aware yourself that this is what you want to do. Okay, just because the job description says so, and just because the terms are a little fancy, let's not go for it. Let's
No.
not go. No, that's not a good idea. I have seen a lot of tests that, and then they ask me, but I do not know anything about that domain. I find that interesting. When you say you find that interesting, show me what interests you. Show me the research that you have done in that domain that you're talking about. And that is exactly what you're saying, that if you are curious, if you have that knack, you give examples of mobile apps that I can relate to. Okay, I was a big fan of this phone called OnePlus 1. It was a revolutionary phone. It made a lot of changes in the Android mobile landscape. And it was released, I think, in 2014 when it came first. And it also had the flexibility of, uh, you could change OS on that phone, and it was open, and you could play around and all that. And you will not believe, I bricked that phone 4 times and then revived it back. Okay, I did so much experimentation on that because that's something that I love doing. I like playing with mobile phones. At one point of time, that phone, I had 300 plus apps, and the phone could not take it anymore. It just went blank. Okay, so that phone has gone through a lot of torture. As of now, I still have that phone as a memoir. I've kept it very nicely packed. Okay, it doesn't work anymore because it has had too much of me. That this guy is torturing me a lot, so I will not work anymore.
That explains why you explain few things very well, because you have done few things yourself, and that makes you.
That's exactly what I was going to talk about in context of people trying to switch domain. Okay, if you think, yes, in the interview they will ask you that you do not have experience. Okay, you do not qualify, so why should I take you? So at that point of time, you are really interested if you've really worked on a particular domain. Sorry, or if you've read about something, if you have tried certain tools, techniques by yourself, you can talk about that. And once they know that, okay, this guy at least knows something, this guy knows how to make sense of stuff, they will still give you how much, whatever we say, the world is not that bad that nobody will give you an opportunity. Let's be honest. Yeah, there is competition. People want to hire somebody with real experience. That is true. But honesty, like you said, plays a very important role. So yeah, thank you for that bit of advice. I think people who are looking for jobs right now and are also looking to switch domains must hear this conversation, and especially with it. That's a very good piece of advice. Now, the other thing that I also wanted to talk about is you worked in multiple geographies, right? Multiple locations. Now, which obviously means that you've seen a lot of cultural landscape, so to speak, with different cultures outside of work, at work. How do you
Yeah.
adapt yourself? First of all, uh, being an IT professional coming from India, where the work culture is very different. It's hierarchy driven. There's a big chain that you follow versus something which is much more flatter when, for example, are in Sweden right now. And I understand that the Swedish work culture has a flatter hierarchy structure because that's how most of Europe is. So how do you adjust to these different models, if I may say so?
Yeah, that's a very tricky question for me. Uh, the culture is something which is a complicated thing to understand, at least for me. I don't know. Many people might find it easy, but yes, I have a very inclined knack in learning about new culture, exploring new areas, and that's why I've traveled to like many countries. I've traveled to over 30 countries in my career, and I keep traveling because it helps me to meet people. It helps me. This was my world before Corona, basically. That's what kept me busy during my free time. Like I keep traveling. Like I have gone to the pyramids in Egypt, and I had tea in Hong Kong, and you can name it, I have done it. Yeah, only I mean, yet uh, uh, I'm waiting to travel towards the US or Americas, but three continents like Africa, Europe, and Asia I have traveled, and that's where the only way to learn about culture is to meet people. I mean, if you think you can stay at home and then learn about culture just by YouTubing, it's not gonna help. It's all about do it yourself business. Basically, you just go and meet people and learn about them. And like I think everybody would have worked, especially in India, with US people from US, and that's how you learn about them. And European culture is different, African culture is again different, Chinese people are a bit strict and maintain the time, so you always explore and you learn. And yeah, it initially it will be difficult. Initially it will be challenging to know what they mean and what you mean to them, but be aware, as you said. I like that be aware of yourself. Like if you don't know about your culture, you cannot know about their culture. Know about your culture, where you belong, which country you belong, and then approach them again with open mind. uh, I still remember one of the when I first traveled uh, abroad. I went on the first day of my work. I went in a suit, uh, completely formal suit with polished boots, and I went to office. And I thought it will be a different workplace. And the most senior manager there, he came in shorts, and it was like a completely different cultural thing. So next day, that day I never went in a suit to work. So
I, I can agree to this. This has happened to me as well. So I went to the I was on site and I was all dressed up and I went in a suit and everything. And I go there and then they're like, this is not a tuxedo. You must be wearing a tuxedo if you're going to get married. That was the comment. That was the comment that I had. And I was like, why do crazy to be dressed up like that. You don't dress up like that. But if you look at India, you are expected to be in formals Monday to Thursday, and Friday maybe casuals. That is in most of the companies in India.
Yeah.
You know, and most companies have that as a written rule, and they're like, okay, you have to be disciplined and you know, well dressed when the client arrives for a client visit or something like that, and the client, he just turns up in shorts. Okay, that and he's like, okay, he's coming to this, and everybody is in formals, and then he suddenly finds himself out of place. You know, one of my customers, he was visiting, and I was you know, managing a team, and as per the company norms, everybody was pretty well dressed and you know, formals and stuff, and some of the women, they came in saris, okay, just to make it a little more you know, and the customer, he just came in, and he said, Brijesh, can we just have a cup of coffee? I want to talk something to you. And I'm like, what happened? Okay, and over coffee, he tells me, I feel out of place, man. I am dressed so clumsily, and everybody is so well dressed. I feel out of place. And then it was for me to make him comfortable in saying that no, this is the cultural aspect of it. You know, when a guest arrives, we are well dressed, and so for them it was like, okay, so yeah, you make a very good point. We have to be aware of our.
Yeah.
Sorry, go
Sure.
ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Just want to add that. Yeah. You also, if you like traveling, just travel and meet people. I would say, if you are a bachelor, you can always put up in a hostel. There you meet a lot of people. That's where I have chat with people from all over the world, and then also you can develop a knack on, I mean, doing some sports which a lot of people do. Like when I was doing river rafting in Zimbabwe, in a forest in Zimbabwe. I met people from many nationalities, and that was amazing. I get to know their culture, what they like, they don't like, but meet people and also be proud of your culture. Be proud of your culture, tell them about your culture, and be aware of yourself. Yeah, Brijesh, you were saying something. You can continue.
No, what I was saying is, you know, a lot of people must be wondering. This is a TesterSpeak episode, and and these two guys are talking about culture and all that. Well, it is important for us to know culture because it has a big reflection on the way we work. And for us testers, when we are communicating with customers from different parts of the world, it helps us bring the culture and understanding the culture. Culture plays a very important part, and whether you are a tester or a developer or whoever, okay, culture plays a very important part in shaping the product. Okay, there may be cultural differences because of which you know, you may feel restricted. Now I will give you an example. There is a very popular opinion in here, at least here in the Netherlands, and I'm sure that you must have also heard it. I mean that a lot of people say Indians say yes to everything. Okay, that's something I've heard, and I have tried to explain that it is not a yes, a confirmatory yes. It's more like a you know, it's more like, okay, we are accepting what you're saying. We have an opinion. We want to say it, but generally people, when they say yes, yes is often considered as a confirmation. It's as testers, when we are talking to the client and the client says something, and if the answer to that is no, please say no. Okay, instead of saying yes. It's very important. That's why I'm bringing the cultural part of it. Okay, you made you point about you know, about exploring new places, about going and meeting new people, you know, talking to people, traveling. Okay, even if you are just watching you know, documentaries on YouTube. Okay, in the Corona times, and we just watch documentaries, get those cultural nuances and try to relate it to. I will tell you another interesting thing that happened to me when I came to the US for the first time. Now uh, was so nervous before I went there. I was like, okay, I'm going to a different place. I almost didn't want to go. Okay, I made excuses to my boss. I'm not feeling well, blah blah. And he said, nothing doing. You are going. Okay. And I'll tell you, this nervousness was till the time I boarded the flight. Once I boarded the flight, automatically our nervousness went away. And when my flight landed at Newark, okay, and I was like, these people are not different. Okay, in fact, I saw the funny side. Okay, I happened to see a lot of obese people. Okay, when I just looked out of the window, I,
Mm,
I happened to see a lot of obese people. Like, oh my God, these people, why are they so obese? Why are they, big,
mm,
giant?
mm,
Then I studied, and I went into my office and I looked at what people eat for lunch. So I saw a lot of people eating cheeseburgers and compensated with a diet coke. Okay, so so that
yeah.
explains why the obese thing is
Uh,
that, and a lot of people told me that this is a problem where people eat fatty stuff and then they try to compensate it with something like a diet coke, which doesn't really work to be fit and athletic and things
mm,
like that. Okay, that is one of the things that I saw, and it is something to do with your culture, with the food. And so we've had some fun conversations, we've had some serious conversations around it, and this cultural aspect of it. When we came to work, we realized that okay, it is easy for us to communicate to people when we know the culture, when we can crack jokes with them, when we can, you're on mute.
yeah, I can.
Yeah, so you were trying to say something.
No, no, go ahead. I,
So yeah, yeah, culture is quite important, and you made some very good points. Now, let's talk about the younger generation, which is coming up. Okay, people who are wanting to take up testing, and right now we are watching, things like agile, things like DevOps. So a lot of people get daunted that they might have to do a lot of coding and things like that, and not everybody is comfortable with that. So, what is your suggestion to youngsters who want to take up the craft of testing, or people who are already in testing and would like to expand their portfolio? What do you suggest?
so suggest in the sense how, what would be the approach,
Yeah.
or okay, yeah. So I mean, throughout the conversation, as I said, like it's always about your interest. It's also about your passion. Like as I said, when I started my career as an electrical engineer, I was given a smoke checklist, and if I'm not wrong, the smoke test came from that profession. So I could connect with testing very well. I whether it's any kind of testing, automated writing automated scripts, or I could relate to it, and I was aware of what I'm doing. I could realize that I am actually helping to make software which changes the everyday life. I mean, you are not aware of that thing. It's and I also don't see. I mean, that's something which is different from a lot of opinions I see these days. I because when I started my career, it was almost agile. So I feel that we are making software. So whether you code or you test, you do ops, okay, which is again dev and ops. So the end goal is to make software which will help millions of people. So if you are aware of that, you know that you're passionate about it.
Yes.
Don't just take a profession just because you think it will be just end of the day you get your salary. When you do a work, do it passionately, and I mean, be aware of what you're doing, and that remains same for whether you are doing any kind of job. So in terms of testing, if you think it interests you, you're beginning your career, as I said, it was not a choice to me when I started my career. It was decided on based off a lottery, and if that is what you start testing, and I could connect, so I continued. But you cannot, if you cannot connect, maybe you try something else. You can try product owner, or you can try to be a BA or a coder. You can, if you have a knack in developing stuff or coding in, then you can do that. But if you stick to testing, understand what you are doing, or what is the impact you are making, understand the business. It's also part of you. Not only you have to understand the technology stack, so that you can talk to the developer and tell him where exactly the problem is, and also understand the business. For example, I mean, if you are aware that an insurance company where the business is millions of customers are paying the insurance company a premium every month, okay, whether he expands his technology stack or not, he moves to the latest technologies or not, he will get paid every month in premium. That's how I see it. Okay, so understand that difference, and understand on the other hand, automotive or a mobile app has to grow because the technology is growing, the mobiles are growing, mobile app has to grow. So understand that difference. I won't on this call won't say which is good, but understand this difference. Be aware what you want. You want a happy life. You don't want to learn new technology. I won't say that's bad, but I wanted to learn technology. I moved into something which helps me to learn new technology, and DevOps, understand the meaning of DevOps, where you fit in DevOps. And even, I mean, even if you are a tester, you can contribute to learn or implement monitoring stuff in your team. You can learn how to I mean, build a pipe, the CI/CD pipe, which will help to deploy your code to prod or any environment. So it's all about being aware and what you like. Yeah.
Yeah, that's some great advice. What I liked about it is you use the word passion or suggestion, and that is something that I always tell my people who reach out to me. Is first of all discover what's passionate about. It's very important that you understand that okay, you really like something. Okay, and if you really like something, one of the first things you would do is understand how that works. So if you say insurance, okay, you gave the example of insurance. How does insurance work? Is the first question that I would want to ask. Okay, if I want to go into, say, for example, automotive industry, okay, how does an autonomous car work? Okay, what happens? Or for example, how does an electric car work? Okay, Tesla has done some great work with electric cars. They revolutionized things, and now almost every company has their own electric version. Okay, and now they don't call it anymore, the driver side or the passenger side. They call it a cockpit, right? And then you have for cars, you call it a cockpit as if you're flying a plane, okay? And you have the cockpit domain controller. You have your infotainment system, which is very essential. And then you have the things such as head units. You have things such as rear seat entertainment. So about cars, there is so much to speak about cars. Cars, earlier we used to think, okay, there is something that we just hop on, we just start, we drive, and we go. And then when you talk about cars, earlier people used to just stop at manual transmission, auto transmission, and the story is probably over. And then later we started talking about airbags and safety features and things like that. Now they are talking about head units, cockpit control, and rear seat entertainment. So things are changing, and then autonomous driving and so on and so forth. If you just talk about it. So if you are really curious, if you're really interested in the particular domain, like you said, do some research, understand what it does, okay, and then you say, okay, as a tester, where can I make a difference? What can I do? What else can I test? Okay, apart from whatever has been mentioned in the requirements, is there anything else that I can test? Okay. So yeah, quite interesting. Thank you so much for the suggestions. I'm sure a lot of people, not only freshers but also experienced people, will benefit out of that. So we've been speaking for quite a while. So I have almost reached to the end of the interview, and although we have spoken about it already, I will still ask you a question that I ask all my guests. What does Ani do when he is not testing? Now, I know in the pre-COVID world you would say travel, but in the world, what do you do?
Yeah, that's in post and pre, that's a bit tricky again. I used to travel a lot, but now, yeah, of course, movies. I watch. I'm very much movie buff, I would say. I watch mainly Bollywood and, of course, Bengali movies. I watch. I have all the movie.
Some suggestions to me.
Yes. Yeah, and I also go on, but in Sweden there is no lockdown, so me and my wife go out and we spend time outside. It's not a problem here, God forbid. And yeah, that's something which I do. And yeah, YouTubing is also something which I have started liking these days. Earlier, I was not at all into YouTubing. In fact, I never got time to do either create a YouTube video or even go through it. I mean, usually if I have to refer something, I just Google it and work. So yeah, that's how I spend time.
Well, talking of YouTube, I think the most popular app in my house is YouTube, thanks to my son.
Oh, wow.
Because if you look at my YouTube playlist, it is all nursery rhymes. Okay, you do not see any other content there. Okay, earlier it was documentaries, and I'm watching something from the History Channel, or revisiting a documentary from National Geographic on their YouTube channel, something like that, or trying to learn a little more about a particular country's culture, or see the landscape at least on YouTube before I set my plan and say, okay, I have to go to this country and explore this place. But now it is entirely full of nursery rhymes, and that's that's the big change that has happened. And but of course,
yeah, kids love it. I understand. Kids love it. You going to the rhymes in YouTube is amazing for them, I guess.
And guess what? I'm getting good at singing nursery rhymes now. So quite often when There's nothing on TV or we generally don't have YouTube on our phone. We don't do it because kids get distracted by phone a lot, so we are trying to avoid it. Whatever he watches on TV. So I'm getting good at it. And when the TV is not on, he looks at me and he expects me to sing the nursery rhyme for him, which is quite weird. Okay, with my kind of voice. But still, I am really good at it because my son has started liking it, which is good.
And Brijesh, before we end, I just want to end with because we are testers, I want to end it with a bug.
Yeah.
I can share something quickly.
Yeah.
If you don't
yes,
mind.
I think you are already a presenter. Let me just check. Yes. Yes, you are a presenter. You can share your screen and show me what you want to talk about.
Yeah. So I just want to end this call with what I call as a bug, and I'll leave it up to the audience that if you think so. What I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate to this particular site. I don't think I have to explain what this site is about.
Yeah.
So here I have F12. I have the console open. I can click on console.
Yeah.
1 minute, I think.
Interesting that you've chosen a browser from Microsoft to do this, but
yes, because yeah, that's console.
Yeah.
And now I'm gonna click on the option today's deals. Yes.
Oh,
and
wow.
What you see is HTTPS security is compromised.
Wow. Yeah.
So it also exposes what are the files which need some correction. And it's a well-known issue, security 7111. And I leave it up to the audience if they can report it to.
Why haven't you reported it to Amazon yet?
I have reported to Amazon, and
what is there?
The question is they want me to prove that it can affect security. So
you want you to prove? Okay, so go out on an all-out attack is what I would say. Well, that's a good one. I think some of the other testers can also join hands and help you in proving that to them. Maybe, but
all suggestions are welcome. How do you?
I think this is a big security issue. Okay, at least from the look of it, if it clearly says that your security is compromised, okay, then I will have an issue buying from that site. Okay, that's I don't have to prove it; it's already proven. Okay, that's what I would tell Amazon. That if I show this to 10 customers, they will stop buying, and if you still think that it is not an issue with you guys, then it's okay. And then I'll show it to another 100. Okay, I'll show it to 1,000 people. Then when they stop buying from your, then you will realize that it is indeed an issue, and I don't have to prove it any further. Okay, that's how.
Absolutely. And you know why I think this bug would have escaped? The reason is nobody in Amazon would have cared to test it in Internet Explorer, and because this bug is only reproducible in Internet Explorer. So,
but I think Internet Explorer retired a couple of days ago, a few days ago.
No, I think Amazon supports Internet Explorer 11, and this is IE 11. So it should have worked, and you cannot display security compromised info to the users at all. I feel
that is a good one. I this will create some more interest in security testing. in non-functional testing, apart from just testing. So testers, if you are looking at options in expanding your portfolio, trying to do something new, look at these kind of things. I understand that quite often testers have this question that, do I have to automate for my career growth? Okay, I don't like coding. What do I do? Well, if you don't like, here, start by doing some security expose for the customer that you're working on. Yeah, of course, that will also involve a little bit of coding, but it will not daunt you so much because you will start with something fun like this. And all we saw Ani do is use one of the tools that is built in to the browser, so you don't have to do any rocket science to learn it.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Ani, for showing that. And I've had a great conversation with you. It was, at times I felt as if I am giving the interview because I was speaking a lot. You encouraged a lot. I don't know how my viewers will react to it. Probably they'll say, I need to shut up. Okay.
No. Yeah, it was always good to know and learn from you. Like,
no, the learning.
I also encourage, and I like your enthusiasm toward testing. It's amazing. It's good for the testing as a career.
Well, the learning part of it is mutual, I can tell. I mean, even if I talk to a tester with just one day experience, I have stuff to learn from him because his experience will be different than mine. That's how I look at it. So thank you so much for sharing that. And I am happy to say that, okay, I think you guys are no longer on the red list that Netherlands had. So I think you can start traveling to Netherlands.
Yeah, I'm looking forward.
I think Germany has also lifted their, thing on Sweden, where they had a restriction. So most of the countries had you in that dark red category, where like you are from Sweden, no, you're not welcome. But now I think they've realized that no, Sweden has done pretty well in terms of managing the COVID situation. Well, the rest of Europe is starting to see a second peak thanks to the holiday season, which was quite expected by the way. But I think it's still in control. I hope that in the next few months we'll see a trend where things are getting in control and things improve and life in general improves for everybody across the world. I want to thank you so much for your time on a Sunday morning, and whatever is left of the Sunday, I want you to enjoy. So take care and let's keep in touch. Let's keep talking.
Sure.
You've given ideas around security testing, so let me also start exploring and see if we can bring it up to Amazon.
Yeah, that will be great. And thank you for calling me for this interview. It was lovely chatting with you. Have a good day. Enjoy your day with your family.
Thank you so much. All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.